Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello and welcome to an Inkdependence.com brief video review and water drop test. Today we have this ink. It's a Nibs and Nails post and blog thing today, so go check out rightonthenail.com to see the nail polish that is fashioned after this cool ink. This is, of course, Herbin's Blue Ocean. This came out like 3 years ago, I suppose. And this is actually the first time I've really used it much. I don't really know why I didn't use it. I think it was because the original version of this ink, they did change it quite a bit, wasn't really my cup of tea, but this color is pretty great. So, comes in that box, which has, I don't know, oceany stuff on there. We got some mermaids, we got some compass rose, we got some knots, I guess, for sailoring, and we got some anchors and seashells and whatnots. There you go. This one, all of these actually, 1670 inks, have a little label on the plastic wrap, which I have unfortunately thrown away and neglected to keep at all, which says something like, "Caution, this ink is heavily saturated, you should probably exercise caution." I haven't had any problems with these. I haven't really heard of too many people that have. These seem to be pretty well behaved, but nonetheless, they could potentially clog up your pens. So my advice with all of these shimmery type inks, these, the diamine inks, all that jazz, is to use them in pens that you can disassemble easily. That you can take apart, take the feed out of, take the nib off of, give it a scrub with a toothbrush if you need to, throw it in a sonicator, whatever kind of thing will help you clean it out. Because it does have a lot of glitter in it. And here's the bottle. Has this nice little wax seal, has a nice wax on the top here. As with the rest of these kinds of things, the wax is actually attached to the cap. It is not attached to the bottle, so don't worry about that. There we go. All right. You can see through this bottle pretty well. That's probably a good reason not to leave it out on a shelf, despite it looking very pretty. Light will eventually bleach through it. And here is the glitter. This is a very, very fine shimmer in this stuff. Let's give it a little bit of a shake and get it to start coming off. Come on. There we go, a little bit. Let me do some more shaking. There we go. All right. So here's the thing about this ink. Is that the shimmer seems to fall out of solution on this ink much more quickly than it has in some of the others. The diamine seems to stay suspended a bit longer. The other Herbins tend to stay suspended a bit longer, I think. But you can see this one, not too much. Like, it's already started collecting down here a little bit. And if you leave it there for very long, we'll look at it in a minute or two, and it'll all have fallen out of suspension probably. All right, so here's what it looks like. This is the ink, and this is under some pretty nice LED style indoor lighting. I've got some sunshine, but the sunshine is too bright right now to actually use for this kind of thing, so I ain't gonna. All right. What's to say about this? Well, it's a great blue. I really like the color of blue that is the base color of this ink. It's a dark blue. It's not purple at all, I don't think. It's just a very, very dark blue, but it's still recognizable as blue. Some dark blues end up looking black. And blue blacks are cool, but if you want a blue that looks blue, this is really neat as a base color. I'm not sure exactly what they used. Perhaps somebody can tell me in a comment, Herbin, that looks like this. My general experience with Herbin's regular inks is that they are way undersaturated. I think this is the right amount of saturation for me. I like it. I like a good opaque ink. It's not boring though. It's a very cool shade, and it does have enough glitter without being crazy and overwhelming. Also, I don't see any sheen in this one. When I was checking out, well, I have all the rest of them? Yeah, all the rest of them seem to have some crazy sheen. I mean, everybody knows that Emerald of Chivor has crazy red sheen. Rouge Hematite has like a green sheen, green and gold sheen around the edges. Crude de Chiffre has like, I don't know, both red and green, I think, sheen to it. This one doesn't really have any. It's a blue without sheen, but it does have plenty of shimmer, so that's pretty cool. All right. It also performs very well. I had this in 2 pens. And 2 fairly wet pens, really, because I didn't want the shimmer to like bind up the pens I was using. I have had it bind up some fairly wet nibs, not this ink, but had some shimmery inks bind up wet nibs, and so I decided to go big on these. This is Levenger L-Tech. This is broad. It's a very broad nib. You can see the There we go. Maybe it'll focus. There we go. Better. You can see the ball of tipping material there. It's a very broad, wet nib. I really like this pen. I was pleasantly surprised. I bought it because it was cool looking and the price was right, but it also writes fantastically. Another Levenger pen. I decided to just go ahead and put it in 2 Levengers, I guess. This is another one of my very favorite pens. This was sent to me as a review sample quite a long time ago, but I do like it quite a lot. I liked it when it was sent to me, and I still love it. It has a medium nib. There's definitely a difference between the medium nib on here and the broad nib on the L-Tech. You can definitely, and when you see here on the writing sample, you'll see an entirely different nib. But this one is pretty great. I have never had a problem with this nib, and I have not had any bind-ups, no like weird glitter dams like I was getting with some of the diamine inks. These 2 pens have performed really, really well with this ink, so that's cool. A lot of times when you're writing any writing samples with them, it'll do a few words, like maybe you'll get a sentence out with some of those diamine inks, and then it just locks up. And that sucks. You don't want that in an ink. If you're like, I don't know, writing pretty Christmas cards, or I don't know, whatever else you're using a glitter ink for, and it binds up and stops writing, that is bad news. So I'm pretty happy with this one. It's performed very well. Now, as I said, I did the writing samples here. You can see this Levenger is a far broader nib than this medium. There's a big jump between medium and broad on those Levenger nibs. But both of them have worked great. These are the only 2 Levenger pens I have, but both of them, fantastic. All right, anything else? So let's look at performance right quick. Of course, with the big broad nib, there is some bleed and feather and spread and such on the 20-pound paper. This is just regular old 20-pound Staples copy paper, and you can see plenty of like little feathers around, lots of spread, that sort of jazz. On the back, the broad nib bled pretty freely, actually, but that's a very wet nib. The medium nib had certainly some bleed through, but not a whole heck of a lot. A lot of this is actually ghosting. I mean, you can see, if I put this down, you can see the words on the other review underneath it. It's a pretty thin paper. You can see like the splotches and all that sort of. It's also pretty inconsistent. So office paper, not the best paper to write on. If you're going to use fountain pens and you want to look cool, get some Rhodia, get some Clairefontaine, get some Mnemosyne or Morimund paper, get some Life. I just started using a Life notebook. It's great. Get some Tomoe River if you like the really thin stuff. But this one performs pretty good, pretty well. Goodness, grammar, Mike. In the medium nib on copy paper, but the broad nib does bleed through and doesn't perform particularly well. It still looks good. Like I said, I do really like the color of this ink. Interestingly, I got a lot more glitter going on here from the medium nib than I did from the broad in this particular writing sample. So just be aware that you might want to tilt your pen back and forth a little bit. I give it a bit of a roll, like a vigorous roll, and maybe a little bit of this, just to sort of wash the glitter back into solution. Let's see if it's, yeah, you can see some here, this sort of grayish bit here, which is falling off. There we go, there's some more there. If you let it settle anywhere for very long, you'll get some, but rolling it back and forth, I don't recommend, of course, don't just flick it, because you're going to end up with ink everywhere. So anyway, there you go, that's some best practices. And also, you're supposed to not leave it in fountain pens very long, it says. Now look, I've had this in these 2 fountain pens for quite a while. Let's see, they're in my ink journal, I'm pretty sure. This is a Pen Habit, currently inked journal. Where are those 2? It's Blue Pearl, that's pretty close. Diamond Blue Pearl is actually fairly close, except it's silver shimmer. It's similar base color though. It's not in that one. Let's look on the Tomoe River, maybe it's in here. Or maybe I just never wrote it down. Wouldn't that be interesting? Here we go. Okay, so the first fill of this ink in this pen was actually back in, 7/5. So 5, 6, 7, it was July 5th, right? So that's quite a while ago. Not a whole lot of shimmer in there. A little bit of shimmer coming through on the Tomoe River, but not a whole lot. Let's see if there's another entry. Yeah, so here it is in the True Writer Select. I've actually had it in both these pens since July. And I have had no problems writing with them. And they don't seem to have, I mean, there's no damage or anything to them, of course. They look perfectly fine. They work, just fine. So, there you go. Those have been in there. Have I washed them out? No, I haven't. So, those have been in there since July. It is currently the end of October, almost November. So, don't be afraid of these inks, is my point. I guess they seem to work great in pens. I haven't had any problems. So, take that as you will. All right. Let's see, writing samples. You can check out better pictures of this and that sort of thing on the blog. Go to inkdependence.com. There'll be a link down in the comments, down in the description down there. But there you go. All right, so here are some comparisons right here. And the only one that's actually glittery is Blue Ocean. Let me get a little tilt there. A little bit of glare on my phone from the lighting, so I can't really tell, but oh, there we go. There's some shine, some shimmer. I've compared to a bunch of blues and such. Nothing is exactly this color. I'm sure I've got some stuff that's more that color in my collection, but I couldn't find it. I certainly don't have it in a pen right now. Private Reserve American Blue is probably closest. This has actually been in a pen in a cartridge for a long time, so it's condensed a bit. It's usually brighter than that. Schaefer Turquoise is also usually brighter than this. I think it's just been condensing a little bit, so, you know, there you go. But Visconti Blue, that's pretty much what Visconti Blue looks like. And that's been in a pen for a while, but it's got an awesome cap seal, so I think that's pretty much it. But Robert Oster School Blue is kind of cool. It's a little bit, it's much darker, I think. But anyway, there's some blues for you. All right, let's take a look at the water test. All right, so let's spray some, well, let's zoom in a little bit here. Boom. All right, water test is ready to go. If I can get the shake out of here. All right, close enough. So, there we go. Draw us a little X here. You can kind of draw with a syringe if you're careful enough. Get some on the letters. Yeah, good enough. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, that's enough water for sure, right? All right. A little bit of the blue coming up, but not a whole lot, really. I mean, you see some of it swirling there, but it's actually hanging on pretty good. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I'll show you why when we get the chromatography, but let's see what comes up here. I'm just going to take that off. Bam. Gonna blot it again. All right. All right, hey, not bad. This has actually got some water resistance to it. In fact, not much came up at all on the paper towel. Let me zoom out again, goodness. It's just a little bit, and a lot of it's just kind of darkness from it being wet. So cool, not bad at all. Well done, Herbin. So a little bit of water resistance on this. It does turn a bit lavender, maybe a little bit purpley when you get some water on it. And it does move a bit. You're not gonna have it, not gonna be perfect, but it's pretty good. So well done. All right, let's take a look at the chromatography right quick. All right, as you can see there, moves fairly slowly, this one, and actually the water never really pushed past the top line of the ink. Here we go. That's what it looks like. Come down a little bit. And there you go. So you see all the glitter, as usual, stuck down at the bottom where it came off, or rather where it was drawn on. So that's kind of cool. Actually, a little bit of glitter up here. Some of that glitter actually moved in this one. That's a neat little effect. I don't think I've seen that in any of the other ones. So, yeah, cool. But you get this, there's like a gray tinge in here toward the middle, but then lots of purpley blue up here and plenty left down here. But I think it actually outperformed the chromatography in this case. I mean, there's a whole lot of that left and not as much left down here on the chromatography. So that's pretty cool. That's neat. All right, well done. Well done, Herbin. All right, so we have looked at chromatography. We've looked at it on other papers. We've looked at our copy paper sample. That's kind of all the things. Oh, let's look at the bottom of this. Yeah, so in the last few minutes, it has just completely fallen out of solution. That's all gold now. Yeah, so there you go. All right, so this has been Herbin 1670 collection Blue Ocean. I bought this one. Actually, I bought it from a friend of mine. It's not even from a vendor, but you can find this at all your favorite ink vendors. My favorite ink vendors are, of course, the Andersons. They send me lots of ink, and we are good pals. So, you know, go check them out. But you can also find it other places. I know I've seen it like jet pens and such. It costs a little bit more there. But, you know, there you go. This is an ink that's not super hard to find. It's not a limited edition or anything. Oh, look at that. Fell off the bottom. That's cool. So once you get it moving, yeah, it moves much more quickly. So it must not be all of it falling out of suspension. But anyway, I think the trick is really to shake up the bottle, agitate it, and then ink your pen fairly quickly. Also, another thing about this bottle before we quit is just that the opening here is actually pretty small. I didn't have any problems filling the 2 pins that I put in there, but I mean, that's a fairly small opening. Here's a pinky finger for size. So, all right, not good. No, here we go. This is better. Everybody knows what a vanishing point looks like. So, vanishing point compared to that hole, I mean, you're going to be able to get the nib unit in there, but if you have a bigger pen with a bigger section, it's not going to work out. You're going to have to decant it somehow. So, there you go. Typical Herbin bottle issues. Their other bottles are pretty small, too. All right, so there you go. You've seen all the things regarding this. Go check out Right on the Nail to see Audrey's post about the nail polish that is framed after this ink. Go over to inkdependence.com to see the still images and all that jazz from this post, and all my other blog posts, pen reviews, news, whatever else I feel like putting on there. And, if you're on the blog now, go check out the YouTube channel. That is www.youtube.com/Michael Madison, my whole name. Also find me on Instagram as @InkDependence. Easy enough to find. So there you go, and I'm Mike. That's that. Peace out.